What's up, everyone, and welcome to Shared Save the Game Media's weekly gaming discussion podcast. I am your host, Kevin, and on today's episode, we're going to be predicting the Nintendo Direct for tomorrow. PS6 has had some more leaks, and we're going to discuss our thoughts about leaks in the Patreon topic. A little synergy there between things going on. Before we get to that, and we're going to introduce my co-host, Sam Heaney. How are you, my friend?
The bated breath of the little pause, it
It
scared
was
me.
the little I wanted people to
Keeping me on edge.
Is someone new here? No,
Yeah.
it's
No,
Sam.
I'm sorry. I'm all right, man. I think I'm gonna jump the gun a little bit. I'm very similar to you in the sense that we were both kind of, for similar and not similar reasons, last week kind of just like wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
And still kind of reeling, just sort of trying to put myself back together. Got lots of things to keep me busy, which is good. And I do have a break coming up, which is nice, but still kind of just lethargic as all hell, just feel drained most of the time. And I can't really pinpoint the problem, if there even is one. So that's like frustrating at the same time, but I'm good spirits. That's what matters. How
Well,
about you?
attitude is is as long as you get a good attitude, you can get through things. It'd be one thing if you're exhausted and miserable. Nobody wants that. And then
If I've got one
go away.
thing, I've got an attitude.
Yeah. Well, I know exactly what my problem is, and it's it's work. But lucky to have a job, lucky to have a good job, and we'll get through. But I also have a break coming up. I got 3-day weekend this weekend, 4-day weekend next week. So I got some time. I'm gonna play some games. Gonna have a nice little recoup period. I'm gonna go apple picking, I think. All right. I don't know if you got that in the UK there. All right. I don't know what your
What are
fall
these apples
festivity.
you speak
Well, you got
of?
apples, I assume. I assume you have apples. But I don't know what the fall festivities in the UK look like, right? Like we go apple picking, we go to the pumpkin patch, we carve some pumpkins. Is that what do you guys do?
Um, I mean, we do pumpkins.
Okay. Okay.
It's not like a massive thing, but a lot of
Oh,
people do
okay.
it. Uh,
We
we
make a
we
whole
burn
night of it.
we burn scarecrows that look like Guy
You
Fawkes. That's what we do. We do
burn
that.
scarecrows.
Yeah, do a little straw man, pretend it's Guy Fawkes, set it on
Nope.
fire.
Nope. We
Yeah,
don't do that here. Got some weird pagan stuff going
that's
on,
right.
right? But all right. Well, I'm excited for spooky season. I've already started watching some horror movies. I went and saw The Conjuring last rites this week, which was pretty good, pretty scary, and I'm rewatching Scream. So we're in
Mm.
it. We're deep in it.
How about Scary Movie?
No.
Oh.
Listen, I watched them when they came out, all right, but I have no desire to go watch them again.
Meet the Spartans.
Great. I quote that the one line is the Spartans stopped to refuel their electrolytes is one of the best lines. I swear to God, I saw a movie with me, my brother, and one friend, and we were the only people in the theater that thought that movie was funny. No one else was laughing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're doing another Scary Movie now, aren't they?
They
I think
are,
they're
yeah.
bringing,
Scary
yeah.
Movie 6. Well, what do we talk about games instead of movies? That's kind of the point of this podcast. I see Nissa hanging out with us. Everyone, spread the word that we're live. Get the homies in here. I don't know what else they got to do on this September evening, but make them come hang out with us. If you are new here, this is Shared Save, our weekly discussion, our gaming discussion podcast. We're live every Thursday at youtube.com/Save the Game Media at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't catch us live with us every Sunday on your favorite audio platform of choice. While you're over there, please drop us a 5-star review. It does help us in the Apple or Spotify algorithm. If you want to support us even further, get early audio access to all of our content, exclusive bonus podcasts, and the exclusive access to write in to the show each and every week. Head over to patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia. Choose the tier that's right for you, like our current supporters. So thank you to Savoy Prime, Sam Hall, Todd Oxtra, Alpaca Tom, Rick Davis, Silkenet, Dave Harp, David Hotright, Lillian, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Marcus O'Neill, Brendan Myers, aka the Winter Gamer, Nikolai Knight, Fabulous Brianna's mom, Brandon, and Black Wyver. Thank you all for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. Oh, and I do see Ghostly Guides here. They're playing Borderlands 4, you fool. I mean, only if they're on Xbox doing New Zealand or on PC. Otherwise, those PlayStation people, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait. Although it is out technically for you now, Sam, if you were a digital consumer.
That is true.
But you're not.
That is true. I'm not.
No. Well, without further ado, why don't we jump into the games we've been playing this week? So, Sam, what have you been playing?
A little spattering of stuff, not much outside of Hell Is Us, though. I'm still playing it. Yeah, I mean, I am like right at the tail end of coverage now. So I have gone very hard the past few weeks. In light of this break that I've got, where I'm going away for a few days, I don't want to have to worry about that. I can take stuff with me to do work, but I'd rather get it done. So I've gone even harder than I usually do on projects to get this one out of the way, and it's paid off seemingly. But yeah, played through Hell Is Us. I've platinumed the game now. Very happy with that. Relatively reasonable. You can speed run this game in like 2.5 hours.
That's fast.
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, still really love it. A surprise hit for me this year for sure. Hold the same sentiments I did last week. In terms of other stuff, like maybe half an hour or an hour here and there of these things, but I've played a very, very small amount more of Hollow Knight Silksong. It's I was talking to Brie about this. It's something that I actually think I'm going to back burner for quite a while. Like I don't feel the pull to get back to it as much as I thought I would. I really like it, obviously, but there's just something in me. Maybe it's the fact that like Borderlands and Yote are impending, and like my brain is more focused on those. So I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with Silksong because I feel like I'm leaving it even more unfinished. But I played a little bit more of that.
There's sometimes games like that. Like I think one for me is probably Yooka-Laylee that's coming. Like I never finished the original Yooka-Laylee. Like I got most of the way through it, and I was like, this just isn't as polished as I want it to be. It's not as good of an experience as I want from them. And the fact that like I'm seeing these trailers, all the changes, and I was like, this looks like the game that I wanted all along. Like I'm totally happy to pay the $20 upgrade because I got it for like $2 or something. So like to me, I'm basically getting a brand new game, but it's coming out in such a crowded window. I really don't know. They're like, oh, October 9th. I'm like, great. I'm sure tons of people will be playing that. You could put it in a different window like December, and then actually maybe have some eyes on you. But that's one like I'll do the upgrade and then I'll install it so I don't forget about it. But I am not going to get around to that anytime soon.
Yeah, it's unfortunate when you have to do that to a game, but it is also reassuring that there are those games that fall into the category of like, you're going to play it. It's not one of those where like you buy it and you think you're going to get to it eventually, but you never do. You're like, no. When there is free time, this will be something I circle back to. So crazily enough, I'm sure it's a hot take. Silksong is going to end up being that for me for the time being. I've played a little bit more. I've done a few more runs on Faster Than Light, FTL. I'm sorry, it's not a guilty pleasure because I don't feel guilt. It's just something. It's a game I love. I can't get enough of it. Feeling a bit spacey as well. Just feeling a little sci-fi. Maybe again, that's the Borderlands impending. I needed something. Not that they're even remotely similar at all, but the genre maybe setting, not genre. And the other thing I've been playing, nice surprise, is a game called Who's Lila?
Never heard of it.
I do have to shout out Jacob Geller, because he is the person that brought this to my attention through one of his videos. It's an old video, but I just watched it, happened to catch it randomly, dropped in my YouTube queue, and watched it. Thought that game looks really interesting. So the premise, it's a sort of very pixelated, sort of two-tone adventure game, but the core premise is that the way that you interact with the game and communicate with NPCs is that you have the face of your character on the right hand side of the screen.
Okay.
And the loading screen for, it was a loading screen or pause screen for Mario 64, where you could like
Yeah,
walk
like stretch his
Mario's
face.
face.
Yeah.
That is the core gameplay mechanic, where you manipulate your character's face into different expressions to respond to things that like characters are saying to you. And it can be funny, as you know, because you can sort of show the completely wrong expression and sort of there is a reaction there. But it's a very dark game. And there is, I'm not super far into it, but there is seemingly a lot underneath the surface. For example, this is mild spoilers, I guess, if anyone cares. But sometimes the game will start making expressions for you that you have to fight and like reset, pull back. So like there can be a question that's really bad, like, so the whole thing is centered around a missing girl, and a character can ask you like, when was the last time you saw them? And obviously you want to pull into a face of like anger or sadness so that you can sort of like push back against the question. But your character will start like smirking, and you're like, well, that's sus. So you're going to have to fight the game to reset the face. And I think from what I can tell, there's going to be a lot more of that kind of stuff, subverting of expectations in a sort of inscription kind of way, where you think it's one thing and it actually ends up being another. I think that's where it's going. So really interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. I'm gonna look it up and watch some gameplay. They're probably not a Kevin game, but I can
Probably
see.
not.
Yeah, I can see you just knowing your taste. I'm like, yeah, it sounds like something you would enjoy.
I'm just weird. I like weird things.
I actually like hearing about your games, because it's like, first of
What
all,
is it?
where do you find these things? But then also it's like, oh, I would have never discovered this. I like hearing about niche titles. I would say like Hogue Law. He's another
Yeah.
one. Like he's always talking about games. I was like, where do you come? Are you just spending time scrolling storefronts looking for obscure, weird titles? I like hearing about those games.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, my games are not really that obscure, clair obscure, if you will. So I'm gonna start with the one that I've just been dabbling in, and that's Alan Wake 2. It's spooky season. I've had a stressful week. The world is depressing, and I was like, I just want something comforting. So I threw on Alan Wake 2.
Something deeply distressing and disturbing.
Well,
Excellent.
here's the thing. I put on I went straight to the Night Springs expansions, and I've only played through the Rose one so far. Listen to like the upbeat, cheery one, like funny. And I was like, this is what I was looking for. Just like I don't have to worry about spoilers. I could just kind of turn my brain off, have a good time, and enjoy something. So I'm dabbling with that. I'll probably play it throughout the week until Trails in the Sky comes out next Friday. That's really the next game on my list. But other than that, I have been playing two things. And the one I want to talk to you about is Black Wyvers and Twitch. So many feelings in that game. The DLC is S tier. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's game of the year every year. I'll say. The other, I've been playing two other games. So I've been playing a little bit Star Wars Outlaws on the Nintendo Switch 2. Code was provided by Ubisoft. Add whatever Ubisoft partner down in the description. I'm meeting all your guidelines, Ubisoft. Okay. I reviewed the game on Xbox Series X at the beginning of 2025. I think it was the first video I put up this year because I played it over the holiday break. I was like, should you play the game in 2025 after all the updates? Because obviously, this is a game that came out, I think, about a year ago, right?
Yeah, that lines up.
Yeah. So obviously, it just came to Switch 2, I think, last week. So this is the Switch 2 version. And I gotta say, I've only played through the start of the game, but I'm actually quite impressed. Now, this is a game that a lot of people didn't like at launch. I obviously played the better version of it after it got patched and things were changed in it, and I really enjoyed my experience with Star Wars Outlaws. I will say that it feels basically like the same game. It obviously doesn't look quite as good as the Series X version, but
Sure.
from what I expected going in, right? Because the Switch, the stinky Switch games don't look as good. The AAA games, it looks really good. Now, obviously, I played docked. I didn't try it in handheld, but I was like, this is a stable frame rate, feels really good to play. Textures are a little downgraded. Like if the Series X is like high, this is probably like medium, or like you can tell there's a clear drop off. But in terms of if you're looking for a good Star Wars experience and the Switch is your primary console, I would recommend Star Wars Outlaws. Like pick it up. I think there's a really good game here that a lot of people have slept on. That open world you can engage in, but I also like the story. I like the stealth combat. I like the partnering with Nyx to do certain things throughout the environment. I had a really good time, and I think that this is from all accounts, a really good port of the game to the new system. So if you're looking for another Nintendo Switch 2 title, I recommend it.
That's great to hear. I mean, I tangentially heard solid things as well. So, which is a bit of a surprise. Again, I guess my experience was different because I was covering it prior to launch and at launch for IGN. And I haven't gone back since to try all the improvements, which again I've heard very good things about. So I was maybe in that mindset of expecting it to be kind of trash again, especially on the Switch 2. But you couple that with ports like Cyberpunk, which also apparently runs incredibly well for what it is. I think that's nothing but a great thing. I hope that developers can only capitalize on the hardware even more, and more and more modern games or was like present day games that are releasing now can keep up, because that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I know this was the title in the latest game key card controversy, right? Because
Sure.
Ubisoft came out and was like, "Oh well, if the game was on the key card, it actually wouldn't be fast enough to load everything. So like we had to do it this way." Obviously, I got a code, so I have the digital version, and it loads very quickly. Like my experience with the Switch 2 has been great. Like it's not again SSD fast or anything, right? It's not a Xbox, not my PC, but like in terms of compared to the Switch, miles faster, like seconds versus a minute or two on the regular Switch. So the experience is really good. Like I said, looks good, plays really well, stable frame rates. I had no glitches. Again, I only played through the opening of the game, but I've played through the whole game, so I don't need to like do it again. So
Sure.
that's Star Wars Outlaws. Check it out if you haven't. The last game I want to talk to you about is probably one of my biggest disappointments of the year.
Oh no.
It's a game I talked about last week that I was like, oh, this is the next game up for me.
Don't do it.
And that is Hirogami.
No.
This is a 3D platformer from Bandai Namco. I think their Singapore team, if I remember correctly, developed this game. I think it's Kakakashi Studios or something like that. I can't remember or pronounce it correctly. They're on Blue Sky. Small team, very small team, I will say, and unfortunately, it shows in the development of this game. Now, I went into it with tempered expectations, right? Like the reviews came out sitting in the sevens. I'm like, okay, I can still have a good time with that. Like I love me a good 7, right?
Sure.
The problem with Hirogami is that it's kind of just boring. Like the story is the most generic, like, oh, a blight is taking over the world. You have to be the one to stop it. And you're gonna do that by like platforming through levels. Okay, fine. And then they divide each section of the little tiny world map into areas, and it's like 1-1, 1-2, and then 2-1. Like, so each area is basically 2 levels. Shout out Nerd Chat hanging out with us. So each area is basically 2 levels. And they do this thing that I really hate where you'll play 1-1, right? And then you'll finish every level ends with you cleansing a shrine.
Right.
That's not really a spoiler. All right, you cleanse a shrine. And then what they do, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, but I see all these other areas. So then they put you back onto the world map, and then they say, hey, go to 1-2. And what does 1-2 do? Puts you right back where you just started, but now you can't go backwards. You can only go forward to those other areas you saw at the end of the level. Instead of just letting you continue through the whole thing, they unnecessarily seem to divide it up into 2 levels.
Mm.
And I'm like, I really don't like that design structure of your game, but I can look past that. All right, we're
Sure.
gonna move through it.
Okay.
Combat, not great. It's very slow. It's very laborious. You get different forms to transform into. The enemy variety in this game is very lackluster. You basically
Mm.
fight black little blobs, or you fight occasionally corrupted animals, and the animals are always one of the 4 forms you can transform into. And the problem is when they throw a bunch of blobs at you that can like shoot you or put up barriers, you have to constantly switch forms to like take down their barrier, jump over here, but you're also trying to fight the animals at the same time who are much quicker, have different move sets. Like armadillos can roll at you at high speeds, gorillas can jump at you and hit you with a 3-punch combo, right? You, on the other hand, can only do one of these things at a time. So I'll be switching the armadillo. I'm like, okay, I roll over here, take out these blobs, and then I have to switch to a gorilla, take out this. It's just slow because every transformation you have to hit the right trigger, hit a face button, and then watch the transformation. Then you hit square to hit your attack. Your attack takes way too long to come out. You need probably 3-ish hits to take down an enemy. It just doesn't feel good and becomes very frustrating when there's a lot of enemies on the screen. Not because it's difficult, but because it just doesn't feel fun to play in that moment. Boss fights, I think, are dumb. There's little creativity in the boss fights. Like if you're looking for Astrobot, you're not going to get that here.
That's such a bummer.
There is, yeah, this, like I said, this game incredibly disappointing to me. And I'm not trying, again, they're a small team. I think this game has not done well sales wise because I think it has like 10 reviews on Steam. It's basically flopped really hard. And that's a shame. I wanted to come in here. I wanted to tell people, hey, I recommend this game. But like I'm playing through this, I get to boss fights, and the boss fights are basically, hey, just they're going to give you a pathway, stand out of this pathway, they'll do their attack, and then you go hit them. They'll just repeat that a few times, and then the boss fight will be over. There is one boss fight they try to do something a little more creative, but if you just change to one of your abilities, you can kind of just negate the whole boss fight because you'll just be bouncing on them the whole time.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know if this was the intended way to do this, but it's just made this whole thing trivial. So combat boss fights kind of a letdown. The actual platforming, which is probably the most important part of a 3D platformer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clunky, doesn't feel good. You have a double jump in your base form, and it's one of those double jumps where you get almost no noticeable difference in height after you hit the double jump.
Right.
That's fine because you can transform, and once you unlock these abilities, you can transform, you can get more height in your other forms, you can get different abilities. The problem is the ledges in this game are very slippery. You can't control the camera. The camera is fixed.
Oh,
Yes, which I don't like at all. So what you can do with the camera, you can move it side to. You can look like extend the view,
sure.
but you cannot rotate it. You can't move it. So the
Oh,
camera is always fixed to whatever they show you on the screen. And this
mm,
can create really awkward camera angles. This can create really weird like depth perceptions. But also there's just things like there's one section where you're climbing down a rope and you have to jump between like blades, right?
right.
Very traditional platforming thing. And I'm like, okay, if I jump now, I'm gonna get hit. I'll go down a little lower. So when I jump, he doesn't go far enough for some reason and just falls down instead. So it was one of the like an infuriating experience where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore because the character is not jumping where they're supposed to be jumping. It just feels very like it needed more money, needed more polished, needed a little bit more for it to get to a good experience. And right now it's not there. And I was at the end of the game. I'd made it through all that frustration. And then they hit me with the locked level. And I was like,
Mm.
what's this? I have not seen a lock on a level the entirety of the game. Unbeknownst to me, Sam,
Oh dear.
and you saw me complaining about this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst to me, you have to complete objectives in each level, which I thought was an optional thing. All right. I did my best to do most of them. Like
Hmm.
a lot of them are one is usually just cleanse the shrine. And then you'll have one like complete in under a certain time limit, or don't get hit, stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I will do my best to complete these. What I did not know is that they would put an arbitrary number at the end and say, hey, if you didn't complete this many throughout the game, you have to go back and replay the levels. And the levels are not short. They can take 15, 20 minutes, sometimes, at least the first run through to complete. And after I'm sitting here, I'm like, I've put 4 hours in this game. I'm not really enjoying the experience. I just wanted to roll credits. I'm not going back and replaying 1 to 2 more hours to get a few more of these objectives done, maybe, because there's no restart button. If you mess up your objective, you're going back to the world and then you're just starting the level over again. So at the end of the day, just a frustrating experience. I deleted Hirogami at the final boss.
Oh,
It's heartbreaking to me. It's a shame. I wanted to like this game, but it's just in a world of amazing 3D platformers right now, this is not it.
that's so sad. So sad. I mean, we both were sort of very keen on this. I don't think I've asked you, but like I adore Tearaway, which obviously
Hmm.
this is sort of at least aesthetically very inspired by. And I said it was one of the ones where I was jealous that you were about to jump into it and that I would get to it eventually. But thank you for doing me a service. Um, that feels rough to say. I don't want to throw shade at the developers, of course not. I'm sure they
No,
put their
yeah,
heart and soul into it, but if it's that disappointing of a thing, I don't think my poor heart could take it.
yeah. If you're going to play this game, I recommend a deep sale or like PS Plus or something along those lines to hop into it, and just give it a try because it's not a long game. If you're
Mhm.
if you're doing those objectives, this can be done in 4 to 5 hours. If
Right.
you're not getting I think it was 40 objectives throughout the 8, 9 levels that you actually play, you're gonna have to go back and spend some more time, which frustrated me. I blue skied them, said, hey, all due respect to the game you've made, like I really don't like this mechanic. They haven't acknowledged me. Uh, that's fine. They're entitled to make whatever game they want. I'm just a little friendly advice. I think people might might be feel a certain way if you added a few quality of life things to your game.
Yeah.
That's all.
Agreed.
Well, that's all I've been playing, and now I will wait for Trails in the Sky, and then my onslaught of games really begins in October. So,
With Ghost of Yoda to kick it off.
nope, not playing. There's another ninja game I'm playing, and Lots of samurai games. So ninjas are better than samurais. Can we just all agree ninjas are better than samurais?
I don't think we want to open this kind of worms, Kev. I don't think we want to do that.
Why don't we jump into the topics of discussion for the week, Sam? So I think we're going to start with my topic and then go to the Patreon topic, which kind of will flow into yours. It's kind of maybe a 2-for-1 topic.
Okay.
So we're going to start with mine, and that is the Nintendo Direct predictions. So, Nintendo announced this week that they are holding a Direct on Friday, September 12th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, a Rare Friday Direct. And not only is it a Rare Friday Direct, it is an hour long direct, which we haven't seen since I think the Switch 2 reveal, and we rarely get hour long directs. All right. Um, Obviously, this direct is a big deal because I believe Saturday is the 40th anniversary of Mario. I believe it's this
Mm,
weekend. So people are predicting this is going to be a big one. Obviously, I don't know if we're going to live react to it. I got to see what I'm doing tomorrow, see who's
sure.
available. But I wanted to just get your feelings. What do we think could be at this huge Nintendo Direct tomorrow? Hour long. They've got some big titles still in the works, but maybe some surprises as well with the occasion coming up. So I know Nintendo's not your usual playhouse, but you have any predictions? You think what we're going to see tomorrow?
I think for at least 46 minutes of the runtime, Sakurai is going to explain more of their riders to us.
Uh,
Um,
yeah, I'm here for it.
hey, whatever floats your boat, that man has earned it. I Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I'm certain that we'll get a release date for Metroid. I think because it's not just framed around Switch 2, right? It's also about games coming to
Switch
Switch
and
1
Switch 2, yes.
for specifically this holiday period. I don't think it's talking about anything beyond that.
Did they give that caveat?
I think I saw that somewhere. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Let me
Um,
look. Nintendo Direct announcement. It's on their official website here. No, it just says 60 minutes of information on upcoming Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo Switch games.
okay. Well, wherever I saw that, shame on you for lying to me. Well, in that case, I don't know. I guess that would throw the plumber into contention, wouldn't it?
It
Um,
it would.
do do you think? I mean, I'll still give some predictions, but do you
Mhm.
think that it's this soon after Donkey Kong when they are probably trying to be pushing Metroid relatively hard? Coming out in a month and a half's time, which it's going to. Do you think now is the time? I mean, I know you said about the anniversary, but do you think that they want to sandwich a Mario announcement? Do they care?
Well, I think we're gonna get some Mario announcements just because it is the 40th anniversary coming up for Mario. We've seen some trademarks, I think, for Super Mario Galaxy. I know a few months ago there was some like leaked collaboration between Mario and some weird brand that I know people. I can't remember what the brand was.
Mm,
So I fully expect some sort of Mario announcement, and if we're talking predictions, like I think we'll hear something about the movie, like the next movie. I think that's a good shout. Probably just a quick little mention, like maybe like the plot synopsis or something, right? Because we already know the date. We already know certainly the title. I think will finally be revealed, which
sure.
has kind of already been leaked. But I can see the movie, something about the movie happening. Um, I wonder if we get like a All-Star Collection 2 for Switch 2 almost, because I know a lot of people
Mm,
were like, "Hey, I want Super Mario Galaxy 2." Maybe they throw 3D World or one of those at 3D one of the 3D games. And yeah, obviously they got to make the collection up, but I do wonder if they throw something like that for fans maybe this holiday to pick up, because it seems
sure.
like those are just ports. Maybe we get some NSO announcements. Super Mario
Mm,
Sunshine coming to NSO or something like that. I know Smash Brothers 64 was leaked to come to NSO at some point. That would also make sense to me to throw in here. I think the big one would be the reveal of a new 3D Mario game, which I see Brian Eck in the chat. Sam makes a good point. Maybe too soon for a new Mario game. Maybe Bonanza DLC. I see. I think it would depend on who is making the 3D Mario game, because we know now that Bonanza was actually meant to be a Switch 1 game, right?
Yep.
And they held it, they made it a Switch 2 game. I don't know if the team that made Bonanza has a smaller team within it that was working on Mario and they're further along in development, or have they given Mario to another team at Nintendo and they're making the next mainline 3D game? Because my dream, just to screw you in Fantasy Critic, would be a 3D Mario announcement for this holiday.
Keep
Just
dreaming.
yeah, that's my dream. 2026 seems realistic to me for another. Like Odyssey has been what 2017 was Odyssey, right? Or
Sure.
20, yeah. So I think 8 years makes a lot of sense for a new Mario game. That seems like we're due. Obviously, we had Wonder in the Switch generation as well, but that's a whole different thing. So it makes sense to me to get at least the teaser of the next mainline Mario 3D platformer.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's possible. Allow me, because as you said, it's not my realm. Um, is there and you might like recoil at this? Is there a Switch 2 version of Odyssey?
No, there isn't. I think, yeah, pretty sure it has a like a just a general upgrade. It plays
Sure.
better on better hardware, but there is no native Switch 2 version.
Okay. Do you think that there is any space for the like they're not called director's cuts, but like the Switch 1 to Switch 2 versions getting some new content thrown in? Do you think that they obviously Odyssey is a much older game compared to something like
Mm-hmm.
what do they do it with Kirby and
Yep.
a couple of others?
It,
Can they do that?
it feels weird to me to go back that
Sure.
far, because
Yeah.
that's like, at what point do you cut off the Switch to upgrade? Like that's a 2017 game. That's the launch of the Switch 1. I think Breath of the Wild is probably an outlier just because of its attach rate. Like I think that's one that makes sense, that they're like, hey, we're gonna Tears of the Kingdom right here. That's a Switch 2. We're putting more content. I don't know how people would react to say, oh, hey, we took this game from 2017, this Mario platformer, and we added another world to it. Like, I don't know if that's exciting enough for people to especially go out, maybe pay for an upgrade, buy a new edition if they haven't already got that game. I really do feel like we need a new Mario announcement to really set the next year up as like, oh, they already got their big 3D platformer game that's going to be in the game of the year conversation.
Yeah, that's fair. I think like if that did happen, I would assume that the way they would do it is that they would couple it with a tease of the next game and have it be the, whatever new world or whatever they added to Odyssey would be in whatever way this would make sense, a
Hmm.
bit of a tease and a setup. Maybe not that Mario games are like interconnected, but you know what I mean. Um,
Well,
but
I don't
yeah,
know.
I don't think it's likely.
I wonder if do we get a sequel to Odyssey? Is it Odyssey 2? Do we get a whole new thing? Like, do they do the Galaxy route, like Super Mario Galaxy, Super Mario Galaxy 2, or do they do more of a new standalone? Hey, this is a completely new experience, new mechanics, stuff like
Mm.
that.
That's a good question. I mean, do speaking of like the movie coming up, and do you think that they do want to like maybe try and synergize, and have a new version, a new iteration, a new sequel in that space, in the galaxy space?
I don't. I don't know if they're really concerned with synergy as much as just having something out to
Sure.
drive consumers to. Like, I don't think it needs to be. I think a 3D collection would suffice in the interim for like a movie tie-in, right? Like, just to get people excited. But um, I know Brian brought up Bonanza DLC. Might be a little too soon for Bonanza DLC unless they've had it ready to go. Like, do they throw some Mario DLC into it? Do they
Oh,
add some sort of, because it is the Odyssey team? Do they add like a New Donk City type of level into it, like just a little Easter egg or something like that? Um,
that sounds like it
those
would
are
make
all
a Switch to
possible.
explode. A fully destructible New Donk City is just
It would be interesting to see for sure. There's currently a rumor that Fire Emblem Three Houses is going to get a deluxe Switch 2 version,
mm,
which I love. Three Houses, I maintain it's my favorite game on the original Switch. That game is years old at this point. Like, I think that's 2019 as well, if I remember. And that seems like that's pre-pandemic, right? Like, we really need to go back that far and do what? Just put all the DLC on a cart, give it better frame rate, upright. Like, we're stretching to this point. We're stretching. All right, Nintendo.
milk the customers, Kev. Milk the
I
customers.
That's what I worry, that we're going to see too many of these Switch 2 ports where it's just, hey, the frame rate's better, hey, the resolution's better, which is great, but also I'd rather just see like an upgrade path. I'd rather just see new games. Like, that's what I more want to see for my new console, not more so much packaging, repackaging old stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I really don't know what to expect in terms of the like big new stuff because I feel like at least in the short term we sort of know about a lot of stuff. They've just had Bonanza, they've got Air Riders coming up, they've got
Mhm.
Pokemon ZA, they've got Metroid. So that seems like quite a lot of heavy hitters. Like it's not time for a new Smash Brothers, obviously, because Sakurai's on Air Riders. Unless he's doing two things concurrently. I mean, that would
See,
be a very big.
I don't, because I feel, here's my thing with
Okay.
Smash, obviously.
Yeah.
Do we get a Switch 2 version of Smash Ultimate? A game that already runs 1080p, 60 F. Like, it's kind of hard to make. Do they make it 4K? That doesn't seem like as much of a need for a Switch 2 version there for that game. Or do they throw all the DLC in a cart, try to make it some weird edition like that? Or do they start teasing the next Smash Brothers? Do they tease a port? I'm really interested to know what we're doing with Smash, because they're not going to not have a Smash Brothers this generation. Like, we
Sure.
know it's coming. It's one of the most successful, I think it's like fourth or fifth most successful selling Switch games at 35 million, like the best selling fighting game of all time. They're going to make another one, but like, I think you're right. I think it's too soon. I think maybe next year we see a tease for that. Like, I can see this being, because Ultimate was a few years into, but that was 2018. So like, I can see this being 2027.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, obviously, it's way too soon for another Zelda, like mainline anyway. I
Yeah, I
guess
was gonna
it could
say,
be a spin-off of some form.
so in terms of, you think we get Metroid Prime 4 release date here?
Yes,
Okay.
November.
If we don't, it's clearly delayed.
I don't like the energy you're putting out, Kev.
I'm just saying, like, do I want people to play it? Sure. Do I want to win Fantasy Critic? Yes.
I
Uh,
you're not going to have both.
that's where you're wrong. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment also still needs a date. That is supposed to be
Mm,
coming this holiday from Koei Tecmo, although I can see that one fitting into the December slot pretty nicely. Like, that's not we got to get it out before Game Awards. That is, a hack and slash Muso game that it'll have its fans, but it's not a crazy big release for them, right?
sure.
Do we So outside of first party, I don't know, besides surprises, I agree with you. I think we have a lot of stuff that we know, we just need dates for. Third party,
Yeah.
and I see Brian Eck putting a question. He said, do you where is it? Oh my god, where'd it go? Here it is. Hey guys, do you think we'll see any Xbox or PlayStation first party titles show up at tomorrow's direct?
That's interesting because you would naturally think that, unfortunately for Nintendo diehards, third party is probably going to make up a majority of the runtime of the direct, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, I guess I might be out of the loop as to like recent, right up to date stuff, but it still seems like they're being pretty stingy with dev kits.
Hmm.
So I don't know if, I mean, if it was going to be one of them, it would of course be Xbox. But I don't know if they would be ready right now. Maybe they don't have to be, but they can just announce that games are coming. Um, but I kind of feel like if you're announcing lots of ports of a game that aren't ready to go and won't necessarily have dates, I don't think that that's the right call.
Hmm.
So, um, in a direct that will likely be, unfortunately, relatively full to the brim with ports anyway. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think there has to be something from someone. I just can't quite get round what it's going to be, because it's not going to be like Starfield for Switch 2, because you think that that would be a concurrent
With
launch for PS5
PlayStation,
next
yeah,
year.
yeah.
I don't know.
So tackling that question specifically, when I look at PlayStation, they're kind of just dipping their toes into this multi-platform arena with Helldivers, and we've debated on multiple shows now whether that means more or less games are coming, which ones in particular. I'm more reluctant to say we see anything from them. If we do, I would put my money on something like Helldivers
Yeah,
coming to Switch, just because it runs on the Steam Deck like 30 FPS. But like if you can, the Switch 2 is more powerful than a Steam Deck. If you lower the resolution, get the frames, or give people the choice between performance quality, like I can see that game getting a port to Nintendo Switch 2. I think that really does depend on, have the dev kits gone out, have Sony contacted Nintendo and say, hey, we're dipping our toes into this multi-platform thing, you want to send us over some dev kits, how receptive they've been to that.
do you know what they could do, Kev?
Hmm.
They could have at launch a Samus Warbond.
They could. Metroid Warbond would go hard for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
uh I think that's my only thing from PlayStation I can really see going.
agreed.
Xbox, I think, is a little further ahead because we've already seen them announce Indiana Jones coming to
That is
Switch 2
true.
next
Yeah,
year, right? So in my mind, that signals, hey, Xbox probably has gotten dev kits in the door. Now, at least the Bethesda side of it. But I'd like to think that it's throughout the whole organization, that like you give them to Bethesda, Microsoft in general gets them as well, right? So I see Nissa, Hi-Fi Rush, please. I think Hi-Fi Rush, I don't know if they still control the first one, because I know they sold the IP to Crafton, whether that's a
yeah,
deal that's already been made or not. Like Hi-Fi Rush to me makes complete sense to come to the Switch.
sure.
It couldn't run on Switch 1, Switch 2, no problem. Sea of Thieves, I think, is one that's we've needed for a while to go over to Switch 2. I think it could finally handle that. So get that on there, start building up the Switch 2's multiplayer library even more. Gears of War, I was really
Hmm.
surprised when we didn't see the announcement for
Yeah,
Reloaded going to the Switch 2. Now that it's out, now that it's everywhere, and hasn't particularly sold great on PlayStation, right? I
yeah,
think putting it on Switch, where people probably might not have experienced on 360, since they tend to lean a little younger over on the Switch side, right? I think that might be a good idea for Nintendo and for Xbox to make that partnership happen. But I think of just things, do we get some unannounced Xbox ports coming? And I really still feel like Xbox might be saving those for their own shows, because
mm,
outside of Gears, Xbox has been the one announcing these things, right?
yes,
And Jeff Keighley, if you want to be technical, I guess, if you're saying coming to Indiana.
sure,
But like
sure.
Xbox, for in terms of new games, in terms of ports, they've been really the ones leading the charge there. So I don't know. I would love it. I would love we see Xbox Game Studios, and then you guys start getting this flood of games going to Switch 2. That would be awesome to see. But I don't know how Nintendo feels about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's Nintendo's stance on like early access stuff?
Well, they have Grounded. Um, They had Grounded 1, and I can't remember when they got it. Well, they got it when Xbox announced their thing in 2023. I can't remember if it was early access
So
still.
Grounded 2 could work
Grounded 2 would be fantastic on Switch.
if they allow that. Yeah. Like again, the whole dev kit thing would be uh the wrench in the gears here. But I look at something like South of Midnight, maybe.
Oh yeah, that would be a good Switch game for sure.
But you would assume that would also probably come with a concurrent PS5 port. I don't know why
Which
they
I don't think
wouldn't.
is out of the realm of possibility that we
I
see
guess
it
not. It
here,
could
and
be
then
like
like
just a blog post or
the
something.
tweet. It's also coming to PS5, whatever.
Yeah, that could work. And then, if you want to get a little bit spicy, not that this is crazy, but a little bit spicy in terms of like technically unannounced games for Switch 2. And by unannounced, I mean they haven't been announced that they'd be coming to Switch 2. What about something upcoming like Keeper?
Ooh, Double Fine, yeah.
Yeah, I mean I know it's not launching on PS5,
Which is weird.
is
Should be,
strange, but like that also, I mean we don't really exactly know fully what Keeper is, but that is also a game that I feel like vibe wise at the very least would work very well on Switch 2.
I agree with you, but here's something. Here's another. I'm gonna throw this. I'm throw it back to you.
Oh no.
What if we go backwards? Psychonauts 2.
Ooh, yes. Yeah. Yep.
I think that might have a little more cachet than the Keeper does at the moment, and I think that would resonate more. And that looks more like a traditional 3D platformer, which that audience obviously would gravitate to, as opposed to, hey, it's a platformer, but you're a lighthouse.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like it probably does realistically make sense unless they were going like really staggered of like release on Xbox first, then Switch, then PlayStation. I think you probably just do the port announcements simultaneously for games going forwards that aren't multi-platform at launch. So yeah, I mean I'd love to see something like that. That would, I feel, be quite a natural fit. But yeah, I don't know because it's like you're not going to see Hellblade 2. You're not going to
I think the
see.
original Hellblade is on Switch.
That's true. That's true.
Might be a cloud version though. I can't remember. So,
Um,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they. I mean, if it would feel weird in a Nintendo Direct. That's like a blog tweet announcement to me, right? Like, hey, we're
sure.
bringing this to Switch. I see Nissa saying Double Fine is a small team. I agree with you. In my mind, they're probably not the ones doing these ports. It's more of like a Nixus type situation that PlayStation has, like contract out a team to do the ports.
Yeah, it's interesting. I obviously I've watched Psych Odyssey, the documentary, like 5 times. They have handled some ports historically internally, but not all of them, from what I gather. So it depends, I guess, on what the structure looks like right now, and if they have expanded at all, which I can't believe they would have. But maybe that is handled by a partner studio externally. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that I'm not thinking of recently from Xbox that
I'm trying to think of Xbox games that would like Forza Horizon 5.
that's true? Yeah, that could
It's been
work.
such a huge success on PlayStation. Do they give it a go?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know they made the agreement with Nintendo, but obviously Black Ops 7 isn't
Launching
going
on
to
Switch 2.
Switch 2. Are they ever going to sort that out? Because that was
I,
like a legally binding agreement.
I'm expecting
Very
them to
strange.
get like old Call of Duty, like Black Ops 6 to come.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think that's it. Because they wouldn't do because Pentament's on Switch, so they wouldn't do that
Pentiment's on
again.
Switch, yeah.
Is there anything else? No, they wouldn't do that. I was about to say Halo Master Chief, but they wouldn't do that.
No, they haven't done that for PlayStation. They're not going to do that
Exactly.
for Switch
They
first.
just wait for the Combat Evolved remake. So
yeah. The only other ones I think Xbox have really started is the Age of Empires, Age of Mythology, stuff like that, which I don't know if that's the Switch vibe, but I guess it's possible if it's like a low investment.
Maybe an Avowed.
Uh, Avowed coming to PS5 and Switch 2 would be a welcome announcement.
Sure. There's plenty of options for Xbox. It's just
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of a pick and mix of like which ones do they choose, because they're going to come at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, if I had to put my money on it, I think Sea of Thieves and um, Psychonauts 2, and then what was oh my god, what was the other one I just mentioned? Gears of War. Those would be my like top 3 that I think are most likely.
Yeah. Do you think did no, I guess that might be a little bit too soon. I was going to say, did they give a date for Indiana? But that's next year. So
Yeah, just 2026 as far as I know. Okay, so that's Xbox. I don't think PlayStation will show up. Third party, I see Brian Eck talking about Square Enix. There's the obviously the rumored Final Fantasy 9, Dragon Quest 7 remakes. We also have things that need to be dated, like Final Fantasy 7 remake coming to Switch and Xbox. I do fully expect that to be there tomorrow. Like it's supposed to come this holiday. Be super weird not to give it a date already.
yeah. I think I think, not that Square Enix is like petty at all, but I think that they would prefer to give that announcement to Nintendo rather than Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's a thing. What? No, that wouldn't make any sense, because I was going to say that it could show up at Xbox's Tokyo Game Show thing.
I'm sure it might
It
be a
will,
both.
but
Yeah,
not
I'm sure it'll
necessarily
be.
like the
Yeah,
reveal of the date.
yeah. No, I'm with you.
Um,
Just other things. I think Marvel Cosmic Invasion has a good shot of getting dated
mm,
here. That's one we're waiting on.
Speaking of Marvel, is Rivals on Switch too?
No, it's not. But that's a good
Hmm,
shout because it's coming to PS4. Be
yeah,
pretty dumb not to put it on Switch too.
yeah,
Yeah,
locking it in.
that's a good one. Oh, Mouse PI for Hire. That's one I think we need a date for. I don't know how tight. I know it's coming to Switch. I don't know how, like, that seems more like a Jeff Keighley announcement maybe, but I don't know where he would put that in this far in the year.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. I think those are kind of the big ones as far as I know. I'm really interested to see what else they have going on here. I think it's going to be a good show regardless. We don't get hour-long directs, so they usually justify their runtime.
Sakurai, he's got the monologues ready.
Bro, I could listen to Sakurai tell me about any game.
Who couldn't?
And I would buy them.
Yeah.
All right, Sam. We'll watch the Nintendo Direct tomorrow. Obviously, if you're listening on free feeds, it's already happened. So let us know how right or wrong we were in the comments down below. But why don't we jump into, I'm going to say the Patreon topic, but also it's really going to lean more to your topic. Remember, guys, if you want to be featured as our third topic on the show, please go to patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia. $1 a month. You get to write in each weekly thread. Gets you the option. I will choose one. Everyone that doesn't get chosen for this week's show will be saved and put into our exclusive bonus Patreon-only show where we answer all your questions. So Silknet is the man this week. Says, thoughts on leaks. September Nintendo Directs are sorry, no, I wrote that. His question is about leaks, but sorry, he's giving his opinion on the Nintendo Direct first. He says Nintendo Directs are usually for big announcements. My prediction: Metro date, new 3D Mario announcement 2026. As for the next PlayStation Direct, I do not want to see Ghosts of Yote, please. As for a topic, you'll probably cover it, but what are your stance on leaks? Are they useful, interesting, damaging? I personally could do without any and let the surprises be. Obviously, I thought this was a good transition into your topic, Sam, which are the PlayStation 6 leaks. So why don't we tackle his topic first?
Yes.
And then we'll just flow into yours. So how do you generally feel about leaks?
I think I think it's a spectrum. I think it depends heavily on what the leak is about, how far out from the launch of the game the leak occurs, what the leak entails. I think that all of those things are pretty important. Generally speaking, I'm a person who can't really help themselves when there is information out there. even if it's something that I deeply care about, I will inevitably find myself seeking it out just because I'm too curious and I don't have any self-control. Working on it, I promise. But at the same time, as paradoxical as this will sound, I don't like them. I think that they are in some ways a lifeblood of games coverage. I think that
Hmm.
they inevitably will happen, either maliciously or accidentally or whatever. And that feeds into the news cycle, gets people talking. It can inadvertently build hype, and get people excited for things. But generally, I think that, especially nowadays, I think if you'd asked me this question like 3 or 4 years ago, I probably would have been perfectly fine with it. But I would say that more often than not now, we're kind of crossing a threshold where it is cool and hip to just sort of spoil everything as soon as you can. And with how algorithms work and social media works, even if you're trying to actively avoid it, it's almost
Hmm.
impossible. And I think that that's the rub, where it's cool that leaks exist for people that don't care and want to look that stuff up, me included, I guess. But it's a problem when that information um, is presented to people that didn't really consent to seeing it. So that's my take.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp. I really hate leaks that ruin something that would be instrumental to an experience, whether it's a spoiler in a game because you got to play the game early and you feel that I'm justified putting shit in a thumbnail or in the title of my
Yep.
video that YouTube is going to feed you because hey, you're interested in this game, this previous series. Why wouldn't you want this new one that spoils your experience, right? Horrible, like why leak that information? And unfortunately that's crossed over into movie culture as well now, where we get like, oh, this actor is going to be returning in this series, and it kind of just spoils the surprise. Because I remember Spider-Man No Way Home, right? I had those leaked shoved into my face when I tried so hard not to see them, and then just one random day there they were, and I was like, I'm just existing, I'm just living my life, and the internet decides that I'm going to see this whether I want to or not. You know, you don't even go looking for these things some of the times. And some people get really excited about these sorts of things, like they feel the need to retweet them, share them, post them. I hate that. I think it generally ruins the experience. I hate going into game showcases knowing a lot of the announcements because people feel the need to leak that information as well. Like, I really do think that damages a lot of the showcases over the last few years that we've seen, where if we'd gone into it not knowing what was there, I think we would have rated things a lot higher. I remember Starfield's release date got leaked for me
Mhm.
literally right before I put on the live react we were doing that day. So I've had things ruined for me. I've had excitement taken out of my sales because there's nothing better than seeing something and genuinely being surprised, genuinely freaking out. Like, I think of the new Donkey Kong game I didn't know was coming. I think of the Nintendo um, and the Nintendo GameCube Online that I freaked out for, right? Like, these things, genuine excitement, genuine happiness, and that's what I want more of in the gaming space. That's what I think a lot of people are missing because they're so cynical. They're like, "Oh, I know everything that's coming for the next 10 years from Insomniac because some jerkwad put it all over the internet." And like, that has negative repercussions for your excitement for the studio. And I'm generally against leaks, but I recognize that they are part of the gaming environment these days. I recognize that there are certain journalists' job to go and say, hey, this is what they were working on, this is what they are working on, it's not going well, it is going well, and that's just how it is. And I've kind of accepted the landscape.
Yeah, I can't pinpoint the exact like crossing of the red line, but it used to be like rumor, right? As opposed to leak. Like I think back to 2016 for the legendary PlayStation showcase,
Mm-hmm.
E3 showcase that year. Like there was a rumor, and it was like basically confirmed, but nothing was being leaked about it, about the next God of War and the pop that happened in that showcase when Kratos showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Or even if you want to go more recent, like Wolverine, when that was announced, that came completely out of nowhere,
Yep.
and everyone was blindsided. It was amazing. Um, and I think obviously the Insomniac leaks have kind of taken the wind out of most future games from them now. But if we were in today's day and age, we would have known about Wolverine before it was announced, and that is like, I think it saps the joy out of the medium more and more the more it happens, because it just sort of commodifies it, and there isn't that kind of, it sounds cliche to say, but like childlike wonder
Mm-hmm.
of, when we were young, we used to go into a physical store and we'd look at the box art of games and we'd be like, we don't really know what this is, but we'll give it a go.
Mm-hmm.
And we came back and we either loved it or we hated it. I think if our experience as kids was going into a video game store and knowing exactly what games were good and what games were bad and what this was and what that was, I don't know we'd be as passionate about the industry and the medium as we are. And I think that might even be an explanation as to sort of this sort of dissociation and different ideals and ideologies of younger generations and how they've been raised, what culture and sort of general sentiment that's been shared online of
Mm-hmm.
it's perfectly fine to share leaks about things. But you want to know everything all the time, and you want to be the first person to get this information out because then you can get clout and clicks and likes and engagement.
Yeah, it's all about click chasing, and it doesn't matter whose experience you hurt, whose experience you ruin. But I do think there is something to your, it sets unrealistic expectations. Like I think of South of Midnight when Jez Corden shared the leaks that he had about the game, and I was like, oh wow, like Southern Gothic. I'm thinking like completely, and then you see it, and I'm like, okay, this is not at all what I thought. That like it sets you up for something that you have no idea what is actually being developed, right? I going into the store as you were mentioning, like I see Kyle in the chat, my brother. He said that's how we bought our favorite game of all time. That's how we bought a lot of our favorite games of all time. You go in, you see really awesome artwork on the box. You see something that really appeals to you. You're like, I have no clue what this game is, but I know that I want to try it based on this. And I kind of miss those days. Like sometimes I still get that where I'll scroll the store, like, and see, oh, this, like, what's this game? This game looks like something I'd be interested off the artwork. And then you have a trailer to watch and you have all this information. So you can be an informed consumer, which is good. I think being informed and knowing what game you're buying is smart, but it does take away some of the exploration and discovery that we had as kids, where you open a box and you don't know what you're getting because you're not online. You like the online internet wasn't really it was a thing, but it was like in its infancy in the late 90s, early 2000, right? Like we didn't have game trailers, we didn't have websites and whole showcases that is dedicated to these things yet. So it really was a whole different time. So I think there's pros and cons to where we are currently with the gaming culture, but I do miss genuine excitement going into things now.
Yeah. And like, to go back to the analogy, it's perfectly okay as well, like as an informed consumer, or even if you're getting your information from leaks, it's fine to go into that video game store and know exactly what you're picking up, and you don't browse and you just get the one thing and you know what it's going to be. That's also okay.
Hmm.
But it does change your interaction with the product. It sort of commodifies it more. And that sense of discovery that we're both talking about is sort of not necessarily fully absent, but diminished. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know that we're ever gonna get it back. Really, I think that it is unfortunately sort of a relic of a bygone era.
I see Nissa in the chat saying they still do that. They with Steam, Epic, and Xbox. That's how they discover some games. Which love it. Love to hear it. I anything to keep that sense of wonder alive. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's embroiled in so many things. It's like people's fascination with review scores and wanting to know exactly what number a game is before you get it. There isn't really nuance in these conversations anymore. It's like a black and white. It's like, is the game good? Yes or no. It's like, well, okay, but you're reading a review about somebody's opinion on it. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like an objective fact. Like
I
you said about it before you went into Hirogami, you're like, you love some sevens. I've loved fives
Me
before.
too. Clive and Wrench. I platinum that game. Is I think it's like a 52 on OpenCritic.
And a lot of people just don't want to have those kind of nuanced conversations anymore. And I think that leaks are part of that, where you think that you are making an informed decision on incomplete information, and you've looked at a leak, so you think, well, my decision's already been made about this game one way or another, and you don't really give the art time for it to speak for itself, or even give it a chance in the first place. And like that's sad. That's sad.
You know what also drives me nuts, and then we'll jump over to your topic. Is people don't understand review scores, and I'm pretty sure I've ranted about this before. But I see, I think Xbox era gave Borderlands 4 a 10 out of 10, and like that's not like I've seen plenty of people giving it nines. I've also like there are game Silksong was getting plenty of 10 out of 10s, right? And then you go into those threads and people are like, "You're telling me this is a perfect game? You're telling me that this is one of the best games of all time?" And I'm sitting there, you try to explain it. I'm like, guys, that's not what a 10 out of 10 means. A 10 out of 10 in most cases just means it's a masterpiece. Like they think it's a fantastic game, better than good, better than great. And people push back, no, 10 out of 10 means perfect. And I'm like, it's not the grading system of the US, right? It's not 190 is an A, 8 is a B, 7 is a C, and then like below that is a fail. Like sixes can be good games, all right? It's not a failing score. People don't understand, and I've definitely ranted about this before, but it drives me nuts. I see Nissa says XS Air got a 9.5. Regardless, like people see that and they think it's ridiculous, right? Like that there's no way that could be that high.
And it's not just that. It's like, I mean, I'm kind of against review scores, generally
Oh, me
speaking.
too. That's why we don't use mirror.
Exactly. But it's like, I understand why they're there. It's just, for simplicity, for visibility. It's like readability at a base level. But it's also, I mean, you see it all the time with IGN and GameSpot and other big sites. It's like, well, how come you gave Starfield a 7 and you gave Astrobot a 10? It's like, what
Because
are you talking?
you're one collective group
We're
that
just a hive mind. It's like, okay, so one reviewer reviewed Starfield, and one reviewer, a different reviewer, reviewed Astrobot. Maybe it could have even been the same person reviewing both games. But guess what? Their taste is different to yours. And I think both of us have said this at different points, not necessarily
Yes.
together, but we've both raised it of the idea of like, you can have the review score if you want as a base standard setting. It's like a foundation for your opinion of what you're building as your opinion before you decide to buy a game or whatever. I highly encourage people to understand that every review, regardless of whether it's coming from a big conglomerate site like IGN or a tiny outlet or a YouTube channel like ours, it is a subjective take from one person, almost always. It is not a collective. They're not asking everybody at IGN, what do you think about this game? And they're all saying it's a 7, or they don't aggregate and average it down. That's not what happens. But even if that was the case, and that's what review scores were, you use the review score as a foundation, you look at who reviewed it, and then you look at what games that person has reviewed, and you compare your opinion on those games to how they reviewed those games, and you'll know whether your tastes align. But people obviously don't want to do that work. They don't want to do that research. It's on them. It's on the consumer. Like, you want to be an informed consumer, be informed.
Yes, and I see Nissa. Shout out John32 hanging out with us. Just see Nissa bringing up Travis, Tie Guy Travis over at IGN. Got yelled at and put down for his view on Tales of the Shire, which I did see that discourse. I didn't engage with it, but that was something I thought was completely uncalled for. They're also bringing up Jesse over at Xbox Era loved Redfall, which is a game I personally think is god awful.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to sit here and be like, you are wrong. You loved that. You're wrong for loving that game. Travis, you're wrong for listing all your faults with Tales of the Shire, right? And then you get people, and this was, I think, where I experienced this most is probably my Hellblade 2 review.
Sure.
Obviously, that was probably one of the most controversial reviews I and a lot of other reviewers did. But people coming in and telling me how long the game was, what the experience is actually like, and they haven't played it. They have no idea what they're talking about. That they're listening to my words and telling me I'm wrong because I'm not conforming to what they've already decided the game is. And I think we see that too much, especially when people just look at scores. When they see the 7, oh well, I know this is a bad game now. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it's like it's a ridiculous prospect to assume that people will have a universal opinion on art,
yeah,
right?
I don't.
You don't go into a film and you watch a film and two people come out. Maybe they do come out and they have the same experience, but that is very, very unlikely, even if it's minutely different. You know, your life experiences, the games that you've played, or the films that you've watched in that analogy, all of our experiences, especially with media and entertainment, is very different, and that shapes our opinions and our tastes. That's why we have different tastes.
Mhm.
So for people to think like, well, I experienced Hellblade 2 this way, so that's the objective reality of the situation. Why are you not understanding that? It's like, pull your head out of the sand, step out of the bubble, touch grass, understand that it's okay if people disagree.
I had someone telling me that Silksong was, and I quote, ass. And I said, listen, I understand that it might not be for you, but as a grown adult, you should be able to say, hey, subjectively, this game is not for me. Objectively, I recognize that there is quality in this product that I understand why others like it. And their response was, no, if I don't like it, it is ass. And I said, that is such a ridiculous way of thinking about things, but go on, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know how people can interact with art like that just generally. Like, how soulless is your experience of these things? Like, where's the joy? Like, just let people have fun.
no,
Just because people enjoy a thing doesn't mean you have to enjoy the thing. If you don't enjoy the thing, that's fine. Don't piss on everybody else's parade.
yeah, no. All right, Sam. I think we've demolished the, the review system long enough. Why don't we jump into your topic? We got some new PlayStation 6 leaks, so I'm gonna throw it over you to introduce.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a sort of casual one to round things out. But we got a little bit more information from Tom Henderson, Insider Gaming, who said that depends on which side of the spectrum you're on. I'm interested in your opinion. He talked about PlayStation 6. It will feature a detachable disk drive. It seems that you will have the digital version of the PlayStation 6, assuming this is all correct, that you can buy a detachable disk drive for after the fact. There will seemingly be a bundle where you will get a digital console and the disk drive together, still detachable. Um, so PlayStation 6 seems to still be supporting physical media. I'll be interested to see what PlayStation 6 discs actually are like, whether they are like game download required, which I really wouldn't like. Although, you know, in this generation, PlayStation have been very, very good at having full games on discs. I mean, I'm a physical media guy for life anyway, so I'll keep buying discs for as long as I can. But yeah, what's your take? I mean, firstly, are you surprised that they're still going to be doing a disk drive going forwards? And I guess in a more pessimistic angle, maybe, do you think that this is the last disk drive we see from PlayStation.
So, am I surprised they're including, if rumors are to be believed, a disk drive? Not really, because when you look at the actual, and you clearly know this being the PlayStation guy, PlayStation first party games actually sell very well physically. Like
Yep.
there is a consumer base out there that buys the games physically. Obviously, it is largely digital, but they have a substantial enough base that I think they want to keep them happy, keep them able to play their now extensive backlog of PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5 games, assuming and presumably the PlayStation 6 will be backwards compatible with both generations, right? So they
Yeah.
want you to have access to your already established library, keeping you engaged, keeping you locked into their ecosystem. I think that's a no brainer. I think the smart move for them, and people will not like this, is selling it as a detachable device. Whether that is, hey, the PS5 one is going to work with the PS6, which I think would be a really consumer friendly move. I don't know
Sure.
how that would work depending on like disc readers or whatever. Like, I'm not up to, yeah, I don't see that happening. I think that would be a fantastic
It would.
move to just say, hey, the one you already have can just plug in and play. That would be amazing. I don't think that's going to happen though. So I'm not surprised they're doing it. I think it is a good move to keep your current consumer base happy. Whether it's going to be the last one or not, I think depends on so many factors that I
Sure.
brought up in these digital versus physical conversations before, where a lot of the United States infrastructure just is not able to handle digital only content, whether that is to internet not being available in certain regions. So people need the full game on disc to download, and then they'll never get any patches, right? Like they're still playing that way. Whether they have data caps, so the disc, the full thing on the disc, which PlayStation, I think majority of PlayStation, not just first party, but PlayStation 5 games are all on disc, which is
Hmm.
a common misconception, right? That is very useful to a large portion of the United States audience, which is their now main player base, right? Like that is where they're selling the most consoles. I think it makes a lot of sense to keep disk drives going until we reach a point where the United States internet infrastructure has removed things like data caps, has universal access across the United States. Where I live in New York, and there are regions pretty close to me, like within driving distance, where the people living there don't have internet access. Like there is
Mm,
no provider to give them internet. And that blows my mind thinking it's 2025. I thought that was something we eliminated 20 years ago, right? When
sure.
internet brought up. But no, there's still people just like I have my mobile hotspot. That's all I have. So we really have a long way to go with data caps, getting that infrastructure across, making things affordable, which isn't happening right now in the current economic climate. Like I'm fighting my internet company. I feel like every 6 months, like, why are you raising my bill for something? Like, what's going on here? So we're at a crossroads. I think keeping this alive for PlayStation makes sense financially, makes sense from their consumer base. Same with Nintendo Switch, right? Like Nintendo is also a physical heavy consumer base. That's why,
Hmm.
like, I buy my Switch games physically, and that's like most of them. Like, I have Mario Kart digitally because it came bundled. Obviously, I got Outlaws because they gave me a code. But like Donkey Kong, Smash, like I buy all my games physically because I can resell them. They hold their value, but also they take up less room than just down like they're on the cart. Like it just makes more sense for that type of ecosystem. So I think this Nintendo, PlayStation makes complete sense for them to keep them physical. So I'm glad to see PlayStation doing this. I think Xbox though, maybe we get a disc drive, but I can see them totally being like, oh well, like Game Pass, like they, what is their physical like 4% or something? Like it's a very, it's probably not actually. I think it was like 90-10 or something, but it is a very small portion of consumers actually buy physical games on Xbox. Xbox themselves don't even put first party games out physically anymore. If they do, it is just a game download code for the disc, right? Just a license. So they've essentially thrown in the towel on their physical market. So it is really just Nintendo, PlayStation keeping this alive.
Yeah, it's going to be. If you want an Xbox with a disc drive, we've got a great product for you. Xbox Series X. That's going to be the tagline. It's going to go down well this time, I'm sure.
I do you I know this is about PlayStation, but do you
Yes.
think the next Xbox has a disk drive model? Like, do you think they do a disk drive, non-disk drive, or detachable disk drive if they see PlayStation doing it?
I don't think so. I
Really?
I I don't think they do. Again, that is dependent on a number of things. I think how hard do they go on Play Anywhere? How hard do they go on getting existing library compatible across like the ROG Ally X and all of those other devices. I think what they do in terms of like the PC storefront and the PC app, I think all of those things are interlinked now with Xbox. And what you say about the dream of like a universal library, I would think that they are going to push as hard as they can to get to that
Hmm.
before next gen, which obviously they're sort of running out of time. But I don't know, man. Like when you are talking about percentages that low of physical, which I think that in the ballpark at least of what you said,
Hmm.
I just don't know if it's worth it. Like I know that Series X made up like 50% of the series sales.
Hmm. I
So
think
it's
it was
not
51 as of last year.
so it's not inconsequential, but I also would then have to question how much of that 50% of the Series X users are actually using their disk drives,
I
considering
used mine
Game
twice,
Pass and so
but
yeah,
remember, the new Series X model doesn't have a disk drive.
which I think is like a foreboding sign that they do this thing that, and the argument could be they removed the disk drive but up the storage to keep costs down, right? Because otherwise it would be crazy expensive. Sure, but I think if they're willing to put that kind of thing on the market and then now putting out the ROG Ally X, which is going to be a very premium product by the looks of things, price wise,
Hmm.
that doesn't have full native capabilities. I think like it's just there's going to be a concession with next gen Xbox and probably with PlayStation as well. No doubt there's going to be a concession of some kind. Well, no, actually built-in hard drive at the very least. I think that this drive in general is just going to be that. I think the trend for Xbox is just like as close to fully digital as it can be. So they might as
Hmm.
well just tip the scale that little bit more on their own and sort of make everybody digital and try to soften the blow by making as much of your existing library. Maybe it's something where you can link your Microsoft account, your Xbox account from your Series X to the next gen Xbox. And by inserting a disc, you will automatically unlock the license
I
on the
think
next console.
uh,
That gets messy, I
it gets
know.
messy with people giving their discs to other people because then
Precisely.
how do you say, okay, this disc has been used? Because then that would decimate the this is kind of what they wanted to do in the Xbox One generation, right? And people push back about it, and that would decimate GameStop, their used sales market, if they couldn't give a disc anymore and actually have it used.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm just seeing a lot of signs that show that they are drifting away from physical probably faster than I was expecting. Like you say, the revised Series X, the lack of putting out first party titles physically, with a few exceptions. I think that they are just trending in that direction more. And I don't know, unless, of course, the next Xbox is framed as a real, true enthusiast device. And by enthusiast device, it means it is going to be extra premium,
Oh,
but you get all of the capabilities of a console PC hybrid, which would include a disk drive. I think that then maybe.
I think if they do it, it's going to be some sort of detachable disk drive device you buy separately, just because it is such a small portion that like they could probably just have a few of those in stock at retailers and not really have to invest much into that. The next Xbox, if it does have those Steam capabilities, open storefronts, as we've discussed, um, it's going to be a premium product, right? Like you can't subsidize anymore because you're opening it up. The software sales aren't going to be on the Xbox store. They have to figure out how Game Pass and online works, like paying for that on a new console that is now open, where Steam users don't have to do it. Like, they have so many questions to answer before next generation, if all the rumors are to be believed, if they're not just putting out a traditional, hey, it's a new Xbox that's still only our store. If they put out just a traditional console, then I think a disk drive makes way more sense to have
Yeah.
two versions. But in terms of what's been rumored, I don't think that makes much sense. I don't think they'll go that whole the route you were hypothesizing, maybe like give you put a disc in, give you a code. Like, I think we've been down that road. I don't think it ends well for them. I do think that there is going to be just a mea culpa of, hey, if you want to upgrade, you just gotta leave your physical games behind at some point. Because we're going all digital, whether that's Game Pass, with our Play Anywhere initiatives. We want your games not to have to worry about being on a disc. We want them tied to your account so you can bring it across PC. Because the way I'm looking at it, like, I've long said, hey, I want this universal library. I want all the games that I had on my Xbox console, which I've actually got a lot of them back digitally on Steam and stuff now. So, like, I'm not that overly concerned with it at this point, just because PC is so cheap. But I would love to just boot on my Xbox app and have everything there. I'm kind of thinking maybe that is an unreachable dream at this point, where
Mm.
either publishers don't want to do it because they'll lose sales for people double dipping in on multiple devices, or they just can't figure out the tech to get all those older games working. So going forward, and I think that's maybe why they had such a big emphasis on Play Anywhere in their last showcase, going forward, we're going to make sure that as many games as possible have that feature where you can play across all our devices. But it still is very much up to the developer. Like, even Sega is very confusing with it. Like Metaphor, Yakuza, like all those ones, Play Anywhere. Shinobi, not Play Anywhere. Confusing. Same publisher, cheaper title. You would think that they would almost want that, but that's not the case. So I want some consistency. The Play Anywhere is such a good idea in theory, but the program just hasn't come to fruition. So I think we're a long ways off from that. But that's a whole tangent. PlayStation 6, I think, doing the right thing, looking good. I'm not excited for PlayStation 6. I think I told you this privately. Like, I really don't want to be talking about PlayStation 6 already. Like, I'm still using my PS5. I'm perfectly happy with my PS5. And this is coming in a year and a half, 2 years or something, is rumored, right? Like, I'm not ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's that is a interesting sort of ideological question, because not only does it feel like this generation hasn't been fully sort of capitalized on by anyone, I think it's also the fact, unfortunately, Kev, I don't know whether you know, we're getting older, so the passage of time is speeding up, and
Don't I know it?
accompanying that with things like the pandemic and stuff, which was around the launch of the console. I think all of those things bundled together makes this feel far more truncated than in reality it has been. Like, that would be a natural historic life cycle of a console
Mm-hmm.
to come out in a couple of years' time. But it's those factors bleeding together that does make it feel weird. I mean, I'm a shill, right? So I'll be getting the PlayStation 6 when it comes out. And probably the handheld too, because like then that's also pretty sick, native handheld. But yeah, famously 42 years old. You're right, Soken. I
Yeah,
am
yeah,
42 years
yeah,
old.
yeah.
So I'll be
Oh,
44 when the PlayStation 6
yeah,
comes out.
yeah, sure. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
29. Yeah.
I had you there for a second there. Your whole worldview was just crumbling down. You
I
were like,
was like,
what?
that can't be true. For a minute there, I was like, am I confusing him with Jam Pack Sam? Like, is that just what's going on here? But
There you
like,
go.
no,
I mean, that
I
would have
knew it.
also weirded me out, like that man is too handsome to be 42 years old. Not that 42 men can't be handsome, Yeah, I think it is very strange to be talking about PlayStation 6. But I think we as consumers just have to, unfortunately, sort of acknowledge that it's going to become a far more iterative thing. It's not going to be the sort of watershed tentpole moments that console generations used to be. if you want like the top of the line experience, get the new thing. It's the exact same as like an iPhone or anything like that. It's becoming more and more of an enthusiast thing, and that's fine for me as an enthusiast. Like I'll buy what they put out, but I think obviously it's going to have diminishing returns for them long term. What that means long term, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But I, understandably, getting back to the core conceit of the topic, like I am obviously very happy that they are continuing to support physical. It makes sense for the ecosystem, and again, like you said, the purchasing habits of first party titles at the very least. And I think that PlayStation have a track record of being stubborn and just sort of holding out, you know? Things happen around them, the industry changes slightly, trends happen, competitors do certain things, and PlayStation just sort of sit back and watch. And historically, I would argue that's actually worked out quite well for them, because they can follow up on the successful things and not do the not successful things. Obviously, PlayStation have been stumbling recently, of their own doing. But I think that there is something commendable about them sticking to physical when it would keep costs down for them. It would, increase profits for them because you'd be driven solely through the PlayStation Store, not through physical, where retail takes a cut.
Last one question
Yeah.
about if we ever get to a point where they decide, hey, physical games are going to be more expensive than digital games.
Mm.
Because I think there are some regions now where that is the case for Nintendo Switch games. If we see that adopted globally by most publishers, PlayStation included, would that affect your desire to get physical games? Just like I can get Yote for $70 or $60 digitally.
I think it would depend on what the delta in price is. I Although I say that knowing realistically that it probably wouldn't dissuade me from doing it, I might become slightly more precious with my spending habits, because I am pretty sort of free, should I say, with the physical copies of games that I pick up. If I see a physical copy for relatively cheap, I will just get it. Even if it's a game like I'm not super hyped about, or even one that I've already beat digitally, just so I have a physical copy of my collection.
Bang on balls.
That one probably a skip, to be honest.
Not a good game.
Maybe one day. Deep Sail. I don't even know if they do that physically. That seems like the game they might not do physically. You're gonna make me look that up now.
Kev. Doesn't deserve to be digitally either. Yeah.
I mean, you could find that game on command. It was pretty cool. Yeah, I probably would stick to physical still. But it would probably become even more of a mix than it already is, because I do get some stuff physically, and obviously any game that I play for IGN is a digital code. But I probably would lean a bit more physical, maybe for games that I wasn't as confident on that I was going to love, or I'll put it this way: I definitely would still get physical for first party stuff. Absolutely. But for the third party AA indie stuff, there might be the wiggle room where I maybe could afford it, but couldn't quite justify it.
Fair Games coming soon to your physical
library. I can whip out my physical Concord copy right now.
You and 4 other people.
I mean, hey, that might spike in value for some reason.
Can't see it, but
I'm sitting on a gold mine.
You keep sitting on it. I'm with you, man. I love Concord, but all right. I think that is a good place to wrap up today's show. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Remember, go over to patreon.com/savethegamemedia. $1 a month, you can write into the show. You can get all our bonus content. You get 2 exclusive podcasts a month, my Q&A and our exclusive shared save episode over there. Sam, until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me anywhere and everywhere at Sam Heaney. That is Heaney.
And you can find me at the Muffin Mon everywhere. It's a 1-7I, 7A. Follow us at Save the Game Media over on Blue Sky to stay updated with all of our latest content. And come join the Discord, chat with all of the lovely folks in our community. The link is down below in the description. Would love to have you over there. Until next week, have a good weekend.